Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's Cone back here again today with another episode of After the Buzzer, the show where I recap the NBA games from the night. You can probably tell I'm in a hotel right now, so if the audio sounds off, if the lighting's weird, just know that I'm doing my best. I originally wasn't even going to record any content. I'm currently on a trip out of town to visit some friends for New Year's Eve, but I brought my recording equipment with me because I like to be ready and I just really like talking hoops, so I like having this stuff at my disposal if need be, and it's a good thing I brought it because two major things have happened in the NBA over the past 24 hours. First one was the OG Anunoby trade. I made a full video breaking that down if you want to get some more information. And the second one, the Detroit Pistons, for the first time in 2 full months, have won a basketball game. It's not a sentence I thought I might ever say again, but they did it. They defeated the Toronto Raptors, their last chance to win a game before setting the all-time losing streak record in the NBA at 29 games. Their last chance to get a win in this calendar year. They did it. They took down Toronto, raised the banner. Detroit has again won an NBA basketball game, and it was a really fun one. People were freaking out on the timeline about it. There's some funny moments after the game, and I want to talk a little bit about what this means for the Pistons going forward, some positive signs that I've seen from them, and why they may actually turn their season around a little bit following this win. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoy, hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos, and of course, would love to hear your takeaways down below in the comments. So let's go ahead and kick things off with this Pistons versus Raptors game. This is a matchup that I've had circled on the calendar for a little bit as one that seemed somewhat winnable for the Pistons. It was the second half of a back-to-back for the Raptors, and with the OG Anunoby trade, things were made a lot more difficult for Toronto because, of course, no more OG, Malachi Flynn, or Precious Achiuwa for the team, but also being the game that was played literally the night the trade went down, they also did not yet have RJ Barrett or Emmanuel Quickley, so this team was kind of gutted, didn't have a lot of their top players out there, but they tried to make it work, and this Pistons team was also coming off the best game of this entire losing streak, barely losing to the Boston Celtics, the number 1 overall seeded Boston Celtics, in overtime. It felt like a perfect storm for the Pistons to go ahead and win. I put up a tweet earlier today once the OG Anunoby trade went down and said, this is the night the Pistons are going to win a game. And you know what? For most of this game, it really felt like that was going to be the case. They led for a majority of it. The Raptors and them kind of went back and forth, especially in the fourth quarter, trading buckets. Mainly, it was Cade Cunningham trying to outscore Scotty Barnes. The two of them were going off in the fourth, a battle of two 2021 top 4 picks, two 2021 Rookie of the Year finalists. And the Pistons at the end, unlike most other nights, actually got some stops in the clutch, and they managed to go up 10 points with 45 seconds to go, and the timeline is freaking out because, like I said in my last Pistons video, every Pistons game as of late with this streak has felt like an event. Like, I can't think of times outside of Game 7 of playoff series where I see my timeline as active as it has been in some of these recent Pistons losses. Like that Celtics-Pistons game, it was one of the most active games I've ever seen from my time on Twitter, and I've spent like 3-4 years on NBA Twitter at this point. It's been absurd up to this point, and people were freaking out. Everybody, me included, were relentlessly tweeting at Wingstop saying, you gotta get the Friars ready, you gotta be ready to serve all these Detroit fans, because if you didn't know, coming into the season, Wingstop had a promotion where if the Pistons won, Pistons fans got like 5 or 6 free boneless wings. Have not got very many wings this season, but tonight it felt like they were finally going to get some wings. I saw a million different iterations of the Pat Bev play-in celebration meme, people talking about how the Pistons were now going to go out there and win 28 games in a row. It was a huge celebration. People were genuinely very happy for the Pistons. However, the Pistons did try and kind of throw this thing away. Like I said, they were up 10 with 45 seconds left. Quickly became the longest 45 seconds of all time. The Raptors very clearly did not want to be the team to let the Pistons win for the first time in 2 months. Kyle Kuzma even put out on Twitter the other day acknowledging the fact that no player or team wants to be that squad, which is kind of ironic coming from him on the Wizards, but anyways, nobody wants to be the team to lose to this Pistons squad. So the Raptors were fouling continuously, even though they were down big. They were going for buckets quickly, and they did bring this thing back a lot. They got an and one, they stole an inbounds pass, Scotty Barnes puts up in a bucket, they hit a 3, they made it a 4-point game with 14 seconds to go, but they hit some free throws, and despite a Gary Trent Jr. 3, the Raptors do fall to the Detroit Pistons by 2 points. Cade Cunningham literally falls to his knees at half court after the victory. He talked in his post-game press conference about how relieved he was that the streak was over. He was smiling, saying that, I'm really excited. This is the start of something new. We're going to continue to build off of this. Monty Williams said after the game he had never seen a locker room like that, said guys were screaming, and he literally said he was almost in tears, which shows you what this streak has done to the Pistons. And like I said earlier, NBA Twitter was going insane. The Pistons fans were finally going to get their wings stopped. People were downloading the app. It happened. The Pistons won a basketball game. It really is insane that it took this long for them to get their third win on the season, but the losing streak ends at 28, tying the longest ever losing streak, but didn't break the record, so they're not in sole possession of that record, just tied for infamy. It's their first win since before Halloween, third win of the season. They moved to 3-29 on the season, which still leaves a lot of work to be done to try and get back up to not be the worst team of all time, because at this point, they're still on pace for that. They're currently on pace for 7 wins, but there are a number of things that were promising in this game and have been promising as of late, which makes me think the Pistons won't end up being the worst team of all time. If there's one big bright spot from this awful stretch of Pistons basketball, one of the worst stretches of basketball in NBA history, it's that Cade Cunningham is legit. He is a very good player. He feels like he can be a franchise guy. If the Pistons weren't so bad, he'd probably have a pretty good all-star case. Over these past 6 games, including the win tonight, Cade put up 32.5 points per game, 5.3 rebounds, and 8.2 assists, with 1.7 steals on 55, 50, 86 splits. And despite the losing on the season, he's putting up 23.5 points per game, 4.1 boards, 7.2 dimes, and 1.1 steals on not the best 54.5 true shooting percentage, but when you take into account the situation, the fact that he's literally playing with one of the worst teams of all time with god-awful spacing, it's not the worst in the world. He's doing great things. He did everything he could to get the Pistons to win tonight as well, put up 30 points, 3 rebounds, and 12 dimes just to get a narrow win over a very weakened Raptors team. It took everything for him to finally will this team to a win. There are people saying throughout the losing streak that, oh, Cade can't be that good because he can't will them to a single win. Trust me, he tried. He was putting up 40 piece after 40 piece. I believe he had like one of the best statistical 5-game stretches of only losses in NBA history, where he was putting up like 35 points per game and it didn't matter. Multiple 40 pieces, the first Piston with 2 40 pieces in a month since, I think the stat was, again, Jerry Stackhouse back in 2001. He was doing absurd stuff, and he really has been all season. He was considered a most improved player candidate, a breakout candidate, a potential all-star this season, and he might have a case, again, if the Pistons were good with them being 3-29. I think there's no way he gets in there. Plus, there's just a lot of great guards out there in the Eastern Conference: Tyrese Maxey, Damian Lillard, Tyrese Halliburton, Jalen Brunson, Trae Young, amongst others, Donovan Mitchell. Like, that's 6 guards, which is the maximum you can have in the All-Star game. Right off the top of my head, it's not going to be easier, but you give him some time. Cade is definitely going to make some All-Star games. He feels like he's emerging as an all-star franchise type player. The losing has been horrific, but Cade Cunningham is legitimately a star the Pistons can build around. They just actually got to find some talent for Cade. I don't blame him for falling to his knees at half court. It felt very Jimmy Butler, leaning over during the finals reminiscent, where Jimmy did everything he could to carry the Heat to wins in that finals. Cade Cunningham is trying to do his best just to get this team a single win, and in this game, he finally manages to do so. He truly is a special talent, and I hope over this stretch, with all the attention the Pistons have been getting, people have actually been watching Pistons games to keep up with this streak. I hope people realize how good Cade Cunningham is and how good he can be. Some other guys who are deserving of shoutouts in this win: Bojan Bogdanovic, 19 points, 7 boards, and 3 assists on 50% shooting. Jalen Duren puts up an 18-17 double-double, hitting huge free throws down the stretch. He was very commonly the guy that got fouled to try and keep this game out of reach as the Raptors made that comeback, and he delivered consistently. Still very high on Jalen Duren. Kevin Knox, 17 points. He stepped up as a role player over these recent games, and it feels like he might legitimately stay a starter, because when he's playing out there, this team looks a lot better. He gives them some actual spacing. So shout out to Kevin Knox, seemingly carving out a role here in Detroit. Ivy had 12 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists. Alec Burks, who's been consistently selling this team over the losing streak, showed up today, 16 points, 3 of 3 from deep. Wiseman at 8 points on perfect shooting. They managed to put together a win, and I'm hopeful that the Pistons can kind of put it together from here. They've been playing their best basketball as of late. It feels like they find some lineups that work. Cade Cunningham is blossoming. Maybe if Monte Morris ever comes back from injury, he'll help them out as well. And I do think there's also a mental aspect of the streak too. Now that they've broken it, they won't have it on their mind that, oh, we're about to be the worst team in NBA history anymore. They can just go out there and ball, get in a rhythm. Maybe they end up winning 12 games or something like that. Maybe they somehow find a way to get above the 17 win mark from last season. It's going to be very difficult, but hopefully that does end up being the case, because I want to see this Pistons team progress. I don't want to see them be the worst team in NBA history. Although I will say I'm kind of sad the streak is over. It legitimately felt like an event. Every Pistons game, people were live tweeting it. We were constantly getting updates on the streak, like those NBA news aggregating accounts were tweeting out constant score updates. Everybody was tuned in to watch the Pistons. My mom was texting me live updates while she's out of town about these Pistons games, saying like, oh, I'm so proud of them, how they played, like they almost won this one. It truly was a massive NBA event, one of the most entertaining streaks of basketball I can remember. And now I hope Pistons fans are rewarded with a good winning streak, because this losing streak was genuinely so much fun. As much as I'm sure it hurt Pistons fans, I'm kind of sad it's over, but at the same time, hopefully the Pistons can now find some success. There's really only one other significant game of note on this slate. A lot of the other ones were blowouts, and that game was Lakers versus Timberwolves. It was a great game. Anthony Davis was going off. Anthony Edwards was having a great game. It was LeBron James's birthday, and he played really well on this day. You had some great plays from some of the supporting players around those guys. It was a really fun one between one of the top teams in the West and a Lakers team that is trying to get their way towards that top spot in the Western Conference. They've got great talent, just haven't put it together consistently. But the best part of this game was the ending. The Lakers led big early, but the Wolves brought it back, and for a majority of the game, the Wolves either had a slight lead or the game was tied. But late in this one, after a huge Mike Conley three that felt like a dagger, the Wolves went up by 7 with 36 seconds left. Again, felt like this game was kind of over at that point, but LeBron comes out there, hits a layup, and gets an and one on it, which Jay McDaniels argues because he fouled out. He ends up getting a technical foul, so Austin Reeves knocks down the technical free throw, LeBron James knocks down his free throw for the and one, and suddenly that's a 4-point swing with enough time left for the Lakers to wait the shot clock out and get the ball back with a chance to go ahead and win this game. McDaniels really can't get a technical foul there. That was a bad call. Chris Finch said after the game he hopes that's a learning moment, which I'm sure it is. I don't even know what he said to the ref. It didn't seem like he argued that much, but he must have said something, I guess, to get the ref to go ahead and call that technical. On the other end, though, Mike Conley misses the three. LeBron James gets the ball in transition, seemingly knocks down a three to go ahead and tie this game up late, but the refs say his foot was on the line and call it a 2. And after this, they decide to review it. It legitimately felt like 48 hours that the refs were at the monitor trying to figure out what shot it was. They watched it in real time, slow-mo, sped up different angles. It was just too tough to tell. Like, I have watched the clip a million times, and I'll put like a slow-mo clip of it in here so you can take a look. The more that I look at it, I think it was a 2. At the beginning of the clip, it seems like he's clearly behind the line. You can see like a sliver of wood between his foot and the line, but as he goes up with the shot, it seems like his toes kind of curl forward and step on the line. I think eventually it was a 2. At the very least, I don't blame the refs for not overturning this call because it was too inconclusive to tell, but the Lakers did not like that. LeBron James screaming, pointing at the monitor, which at the moment was displaying an angle that made it look like a 3. They should not have left it on that angle. Anthony Davis is freaking out. It gave us some fantastic memes. Like, this is going to be one of the best NBA memes of 2024. I will tell you right now. Feels very reminiscent of last year when the Lakers faced off against the Celtics, where LeBron James got hit and he fell to his knees on the court. You know, Pat Bev is showing the refs the camera. The Lakers just find ways to consistently have the most hilarious endings to games. But even despite the controversy, which Lakers fans are really mad about, they still had a chance to go ahead and win this game. On the other end, Anthony Edwards splits free throws, so the Lakers are only down 2 points. They've got, I think, like 1.7 or 1.8 seconds to go, and they don't get a shot off. LeBron gets the ball inbounded, but has 2 guys on him, just doesn't get it off in time. Would have been a miss anyways, and the Lakers end up falling. So despite all the controversy, the Lakers still had a chance to win or tie. They don't manage to go ahead and win, and I do think ultimately it probably was a 2. At the very least, there wasn't enough evidence to overturn and say it was a 3. On the stats front, LeBron James finishes his birthday game with 26 points, 3 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 steals, and a block. Don't know how a now 39-year-old player is still playing like one of the best in the world, but he's doing it on a consistent basis. Anthony Davis has a monster 33 points, 17 boards, 8 assists, 4 steals, and 2 blocks, making a DPOY-type statement against the league's top defense. It was kind of a rough game for everybody else. Austin Reeves shot 2 of 11 from the field. They need him to be a bit more consistent. As for the Timberwolves, Anthony Edwards led the way as usual. 31 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 blocks. Gobert at 19 and 13. Naz Reid is fantastic. 21 points, 5 boards, 1 assist, 2 steals, and 2 blocks off the bench. And the Wolves moved to 24 and 7, staying 2.5 games above OKC for the 1 seed, maintaining their spot at the top of the West, where not a lot of people thought they'd be at this point in the season. Let's go ahead now and move on to the rapid fire section. Like I said, there weren't a lot of great games on the slate. Most of them were blowouts, including the Pacers blowing out the Knicks behind another 2020 game from Tyrese Halliburton. The more that I watch him, the more that I'm pretty convinced he's going to be the one to break Scott Skiles' 30 assists in a game record. It's just a matter of time. Just give him a hot shooting night from his teammates, and Tyrese will most likely get it done. The Sixers fall to the Bulls without Joel Embiid behind 20 points from Kobe White and 24 from DeMar DeRozan. Also a 15, 23 rebound, 2 assist, 2 steal, and 3 block game from Andre Drummond, who is a monster for some reason at this point in the season. The Utah Jazz beat the Miami Heat due to 22 points from Colin Sexton, 19, 6, and 10, a near triple-double from Kelly Olynyk, and a 21, 6, and 2 game from Keontae George, who also had 5 threes, big game from the rookie. And the Mavericks handled the Dubs pretty comfortably behind 39 points, 8 rebounds, and 10 assists from Luka, as well as a 12 and 14 double-double from Derek Lively. Also, shout to Josh Green, who had 18 points in this game. It's been kind of a rough season for him so far, but in this one, had one of his better games of the year. But with all that being said, those are my takeaways from the games. Let me know down below in the comments what yours were. What record do you think the Pistons finish with on the year? How good do you think Cade Cunningham can be? Do you think they'll end up as the worst team of all time? And is this the beginning of maybe a winning streak for the Pistons? We'll have to wait and see. Also, let me know what you think about the OG Anunoby trade. I of course, made a video about that if you want to go check that out. But on this one too, would like to know your thoughts because it is kind of a big deal out there in the NBA world at the moment. And yeah, leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. Have a happy new year. This is the last video from me in 2023. Want to thank y'all for all the support. Easily, like, not even close to the best year of my channel ever. We're very close to 40,000 subscribers as I'm uploading this. I think I'm about 95 away. So if you're not subbed, please make sure to go ahead and do that. Trying to hit that right before the clock hits 2024. We'll see if we can do it. But yeah, appreciate y'all watching. Appreciate all your support over the year. I'll see y'all later. Real one, say it back.